What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful.com here with a name you know. He's been bad, he's been good. Now he's a little bit of both. It's Tama Tonga. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. I mentioned to you off the air, like I'm excited for this New Japan, the reintegration of New Japan in USA, especially because that means I get to talk to more of you guys, and I've never got to talk to you before. There's a lot of stuff I want to ask you, but first off, how you feeling? How you doing through the pandemic and getting back in the ring?
Oh, shoot. Great. The pandemic has been there's a silver lining in there. There's some things that we got a lot of rest time, a lot of downtime to let our bodies recover. But it's good to be back in the ring, knock off some ring rust and get going again. And especially here, we're doing it here stateside, so it's the beginning of something beautiful.
Are you happy that you don't have to be on the road so Enzo Amore doesn't find you and beat you up?
What the fuck?
I, I,
Yeah.
I solicited questions for you, and everybody's like, when's he going to find Enzo? When's he going to find Enzo? I was like, damn. Like,
Hey, look, I ain't thirsty like that. He can come find me.
so many people, because, I mean, the reputation that precedes your family as ass kickers, they're like, anybody that he has a slight problem with, when is he going to destroy them? And, and I mean,
uh,
that is the reputation that precedes your family. I mean, you all are a family of ass kickers. It's well known. How was that growing up with everybody knowing that you can't come from like that kind of family?
all right, I'll be honest with you. I said this to a lot of people. Man, my pop, he kayfabed us from the I didn't know shit
I love it.
until I started wrestling 27, and that's when I filled in with everything. And then once I started traveling the world, everybody had a story, and that's how I got to know my pops behind, beside family man that I knew at home as a father. I got to know him as a wrestler, and I was like, holy shit. Oh, so there was a lot of new things that was brought to my attention once I started wrestling.
I like
Stuff
to think that your dad was like, "Hey, listen, I'm a king now. I've got king stuff to do. I gotta go talk to royal families and all that stuff. I'll be back after this tour." Like,
yeah.
that's amazing. So we had mentioned at the top of this, New Japan back in America, New Japan strong. I was so excited. Like everything on this show either has stakes or it has somebody that I haven't seen before. Like I get to watch William Regal's son wrestle, which is incredible.
Right.
There is this entire roster of talent in America right now. Like Kenta's over here. I didn't even think. I'm like, oh, of course. He worked here for years. Why wouldn't he have a house here? What's that been like having a stocked roster, even though it's effectively, it's kind of like a brand split right now in its own way?
Right. Yeah, no, it's cool because we got all the players that I want on this side. We got Kenta, we got Jay White, we got my brothers, we got Chase Owens. We got my squad over here. I think we're pretty set on a brand split.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I mean, that's something like I remember when Kenny Omega was there, he caused a bit of a tizzy because he's like, the foreigners work harder than the people in New Japan, than the Japanese people in New Japan. And he got heat for that online, like from fans.
Yeah.
How are you feeling seeing the work ethic of everybody here on New Japan Strong and in the US?
Um, it's a beginning, it's a start, and we're just gonna have to put in that work that we put in New Japan here to show that grit, that grind, to show these younger kids how it's done, how we were able to build Japan up since the late 2000 eight onward. So I I hate that Kenny said that because I think everybody paid their dues. He for somebody who came in late into New Japan after me, he didn't see the work that we had to put in. So been in New Japan 10 years. I'm just gonna take everything I knew there and show these cats how to do that for here and build it just like what we did in New Japan. But I think both sides, Japanese and foreigners, both put in that work.
We mentioned New Japan Strong. These were your first matches back since everything like went down, right? When's the last time you went 5.5 months without a match?
Yeah, yeah, that's the longest in my career. That's the longest.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't.
How do you adjust to that? Like, do you see it as like, man, I get to heal up a little bit, or are you like, I'm itching to get back in there, or is it a little bit of both?
At first it was like, hell yeah, we get a little break the first month, but then after the second month you start to like, oh shit, am I gonna have a job? You know, and then the third, and thing, you start playing with your mind, and over time it's just like, all right, I gotta start taking this serious, and you start setting up a regimen to stay in shape and focusing on your training, because you never know when we could be back. And that first one back, man, it felt great. I think I was so excited to wrestle that just high, what they call it, just high tension, just the whole time. Just my energy was just above and beyond.
And I mean, you have to have like some sort of mental routine considering the number of times you've been back and forth to Japan over the last several years. I mean, that has to feel weird not going over there, not being on those long flights.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 10 years. 10 years of doing that.
Oh,
and like I said, there's a silver lining in that, because it was great. I got 2 kids. One was born at the beginning of the pandemic, and I get to see her grow up these first 5 months. So that was a blessing. And so you got to there's a give and take. There's a middle line in there, silver lining, and it's been great. So an adjustment. I'm looking forward. I'm getting that to get back over to Japan, because I'm getting jealous watching them doing all the work out there, But now that we're starting over here with New Japan Strong, it's like, okay, I'll take this too.
And this is one of those things that's like, I wonder if it would happen if the pandemic hadn't hit. But you all were making your presence felt in the States before that, because I know you all did tours like North Carolina, Florida, Georgia. There was that tour in January that went into February. Yep. How have you felt about the integration so far? Because, I mean, I think a lot of people just figured, oh, well, they'll team up with AEW or they'll team up with Ring of Honor, which they still do. But New Japan's doing its own thing and has a really good roster. And they even fill it out with some new names here and there.
Right. Yeah. I think we just need to focus on ourselves right now and grow that, so we have like a thing here in the United States. Everybody else already got this shit going on. Whether we work with other people, I think that's all up in the air, and I don't mind, but we need to focus on our product and building strong talents, the incoming talents, I would say. But we're making our progress here in Japan. We've been coming here, what 5 years, 6 years, 7 years now, slow and steady, and it's becoming more and more. And now we got a here in LA, so I'm excited.
Speaking of other people, a couple of your old buddies, Gallows and Anderson, hit the market. Before we even get into that, what did you think of TalkNShopAMania?
It was the worst pay-per-view I've ever seen in my life. I couldn't get past the 15-minute mark, but I love them boys, and I went and watched it to support the boys, but holy, that was a shit show. Yeah. I can't wait for the second one.
Oh, it was. It was so bad. It was like they had Paul Lee on there, and there are so many people that don't know. Exactly. There are so many people watching this that will go, who is Paul Lee? And then they'll look him up, and they'll have no idea that he's a...
I can't believe nobody knows the legend Paul Lee. Oh, my God.
I timed his entrance. His entrance took 5 minutes. It was longer than a lot of the Undertakers at WrestleMania. It was unbelievable. They had a drone following his car, and they were they were doing color commentary on him parking his car because he didn't know how to do it. It was unreal. And one of the things I've always wondered about Gallows and Anderson, they didn't get booted out of Bullet Club. They just went somewhere else. So in your mind, are they still Bullet Club right now?
Whoa, is that a question? Of course they are. They never got booted like other people. You know, you blood in, blood out, and a lot of people got blood out. They didn't get blood out.
See, I appreciate that because there are some questions here. Like, if you go to Wikipedia, Wikipedia will be like, oh, former members. And I'm like, is that for Wikipedia to decide? Or is that for Bad Luck Fale and Tama Tonga and people like that to decide?
Still in, man. They still in 100%. Good brothers in.
So,
Come on, that's the core four.
yeah.
That's the core four.
So does that mean Scott D'Amore's still in?
Scott D'Amore is an honorary member. I thought I made that clear. We got honorary members, all right?
There are some I'm looking at and I'm like, they didn't get kicked out. You can toss
but they
out.
never really got kicked in.
Yeah.
They were just there.
You got to start handing out like honorary certificates for beatdowns too. Like Scott, you're out. Sorry. Maybe Anthem should have worked a little bit better with New Japan. You're out. You're out.
You didn't get that. Come here real quick. Let me show you real quick. Let me get you jumped.
Oh man, I've always wondered that about Bullet Club. Because I mean, here's the thing: they never spoke ill of Bullet Club. They were always, I mean, they continued some sort of imagery in WWE, albeit with a guy who did get kicked out. So I always wondered. A lot was made of, quite frankly, when they went over to WWE and WWE reaching out to you. You stuck with New Japan. It's worked out fantastically for you. Not a shot at them, but it's worked out better for you than it did for them. But it worked out better for you than it did for them. You're teaming with your brother all the time. In retrospect, how do you look at that decision?
Perfect. It was meant. It happened the way it was meant to be, and it gave me a chance to tag with my brother, and that's something that I started the wrestling world with my brother to tag team, but we never got that chance, and this was the opportunity to do it. So it was perfect.
And like whenever I think about WWE and tag team wrestling, I think about stuff like you and your brother. Everybody can relate to growing up and being like, I want to be a tag champion with my brother, my cousin, with their sister now, for the love of God, the way that wrestling has went. So when you have the opportunity to achieve that, is that something you're looking back on? Like, man, I remember when we were little watching my dad, we wanted to be tag champs.
Yes. To be simple and quick, yes. And we achieved that. So here we are.
One of my favorite things about when you all team together, like, the Access doesn't censor anything on their show. So it would seem like you all would like be in competition to see who could curse the loudest. No offense. Your brother's winning that one 10 out of 10. He is the loudest cursor I have ever heard in my entire life.
Me too.
That is like, and everything flies there. Do you all ever get any feedback? Is anybody over there like, hey man, tone it down?
Oh yeah, all the time. Hey guys, please, come on guys. We can't have that here. Guys, all right, look, I have to start doing something. Guys, all right, we're gonna need you guys to sit this one out. Come on, guys. We're like, I'm trying, man. We're trying. What not cursing? You're right. Okay, next one. We'll tone it down. Yes, that's been since the beginning of the club, 2013. We've been told that, and it just comes out, man. And sometimes I think it got to the point of just let go. They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Japan is not made for kids. They made videos about that.
That's a good point. And I mean, it's like one of those things. It's like, we got these great talent. It's one of those things where you get a little preferential treatment because of the talent level too. You got to cater to them a bit. So New Japan, they have had a regime change since you've been there, and the people that I've spoken to have said, yeah, it's working out pretty well. What changes did you see when like Harold May took over, and how has that worked out for you?
Uh, I, I don't try to see. I was there when Bushy Road came and took over.
Yeah.
That was that regime change was really the biggest one I saw because they advertised us more. We were all over Japan. He understood the power of advertising, and we were all over bullet trains anywhere in Japan. In the biggest cities, you saw us at every corner. So us getting more exposure, that was one of the biggest things I saw when that regime came in. When Harold May came in, I see a vision. I see his vision, and he's pushing for it. Um, but I'm not. I don't. I can't see the changes yet, just not yet. So maybe give me a couple more years or a year and a little bit. Let me see after the pandemic, because the pandemic kind of put a hamper on things.
Yeah, it did throw a wrench into a lot of stuff, and I mean, we're starting to see more integration now. Like the ROH and in New Japan crossover's been there. We've seen AEW, even though there's no working relationship, some people pop up over there. Do you think we'll see more of that? Do you think we'll see more crossover, especially with New Japan in the USA? Part of me wonders if they'll want to put a foothold on that, or if they'll be more open to it.
Um, I don't know. I don't I don't want to say no, and I
Yeah.
don't want to say yes because there's so many. You never know in the wrestling business. So many things can happen. Look at this. There's so many things that can happen. Having a foothold in America, I don't think we need to. I mean, we got a foothold, as in we've started a promotion out here in New Japan Strong. We've got a dojo. We've done tours here, and it may not be a big foothold. It's a small, and that's a steady progress. You know, but does I mean, you just never know.
Yeah.
I'm going into long explanation, but you just never know. I'm open because with TNA, Good Brothers is about the greatest chance they've got to
Yeah.
create a bridge because those two, especially Carl Anderson coming up New Japan, he understands how New Japan works, what they like, what they don't like. So that's I would love to work with brothers, and that brings us over to TNA. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very surprised when Anthem took over Impact, and they were like, well, Women of Wrestling, New Japan, gone. I was like, man, you all have so much good wrestling content. It's
Mhm.
probably very cost effective because it's already produced. Somebody else
Yeah.
produces it.
Yeah.
That was a little surprising to me, and I was like, man, when I saw Gallows and Anderson pop in, I was like, well, that's your chance to bridge that gap that you probably just burned in the past. But
Yeah.
I spoke to Davey Boy Smith last year, Davey Boy Smith Jr., and he was like, yeah, I asked them if I could work Impact Wrestling, and they're like, no, Jeff Jarrett screwed us over. And it's like, man, he's long gone. He's been gone for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, but yes, but Jeff Jarrett was just with us about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that he may have been he was joining global for wrestling, so I'm just trying to like patch that. But
Yeah.
he it's difficult for a foreign company to try to go into another country and do business. You have to be cautious of people you're working with because you've tried working with them what 10-15 years ago, and some things fell apart. Though that regime has gone and over with, the thing kind of still follows them a little bit,
Yeah.
you know. And so when you try to work with ROH and you trying to build that working relationship, and they stunt, and it's like, oh, okay. So everybody's being very cautious now. AEW, AEW is run by guys that New Japan built. So
Yeah.
that or helped build. So, and you saw how that whole thing was came about, how
Yeah.
AEW came about. So you know it's hard. It's hard
I
to go
think
into
Yeah, I
get
think you
that.
made a pretty good case there because the Ring of Honor, Madison Square Garden thing, it's like that's the type of thing you clue people in on. That's
Yeah,
and
it's
Even though Impact is just, it's that in name only now. Like, it's nowhere near what it's not TNA. Nobody there is the same. But, I mean, I remember they changed New Japan titles without even asking New Japan at one point. I think they switched the tag titles without asking. And then there was the Jarrett Global Wrestling, the co-promoted pay-per-view, and then the booking of Okada. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah, look at the territories back in that 70s, 80s, in that time. There was a working relationship. There was an alliance. It was like the United States, all states working together.
Yeah.
Can't find that in promotions anymore because everybody's all selfish and trying to screw each other and just doing whatever they want with their egos and shit. So nothing can ever be done properly. The disrespect is real.
And it looked like a few years ago that even WWE was going to be like, okay, because they had Samoa Joe working everywhere. Then he popped up on Ring of Honor, and they're like, oh, no, we got to get you a contract right now. And Matt Riddle, they had no interest in him for 2 years, and then New Japan reaches out to him, and they go, oh, let's get you that contract now. Let's make sure that you're signed now. So I can definitely see that. You mentioned AEW. Do you keep in touch with the Bucks? How's your relationship with them?
Oh, I love the Bucks. I think the Bucks are cool people. But I don't, when you're not working with them, it's not, you don't see each other every day.
Yeah.
You start to not talk for a while. But when I see him, I show him love. I don't keep in touch.
Yeah.
I'm that too. I'll even admit the Good Brothers, when they were WWE, it was rarely we text each other. We'll just say, hey, once you see something flash up, I'll be like, oh, that looked great. And that's it. It's hard to keep up with people when you're not in face-to-face contact with them.
Sure. You've kept in touch with your razor. Everybody keeps asking me about you shaving. I got like 10 questions about you shaving.
Man, 2020, man. This is a hell of a year, bro. It's crazy. You just never know what the hell could happen in 2020.
I mean, you've went through so much in the last 2 years. Like I said, from bad to good, from good to good bad, and now you're changing up the image. People can keep up with you on Tama's Island. Tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah, the whole pandemic had me staying home and figuring out how to stay in contact with the fans and create that bridge. And Tama's Island podcast and Tama's Island Patreon.com is something we were able to come up with to keep in contact, to gap that bridge, to just stay up with wrestling and what's going on.
I love the merch over there. Like it's colorful, it's different, like it stands out, and it's not just like, oh, hey, we got a shirt. There's like hats, the beach hat, like, because how you gonna have Tama's Island and not have a beach hat?
Right, you gotta protect yourself. Next time we'll come up with some sunblock.
Exactly. So I encourage everybody to check that out. You can go to tamasisland.com and check that out. He is on podcast platforms everywhere with Tama's Island as well. But you can also see him New Japan Strong on Fridays, New Japan World. As we finish up, is there anybody that you've seen there and you've took note of and you're like, damn, they're going to be big. They're going to be a player?
No. No, I don't think so.
Amazing. I love it.
There are guys that you're like, okay, okay. Let's see. Everything is slow and steady. Yeah, progress.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I truly appreciate it. Guys, give him a follow at Tama_Tonga. He's been a little quiet over there of late, but when he gets fired up, he gets fired up. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.